friends. It's your girl Melissa here. And today I am coming to you live to share one of my coaching clients with you. I have interviewed her in the past, so you may recognize her. You may already be familiar with her, but I want to take this moment to bring her on and talk through a workshop that she's going to be offering next week. We are trying to do this. I was trying to get this in earlier, but with all the appointments and coaching calls, I just wasn't able to get it done until today on a Saturday. But I know it's worth it. So I'm taking the time on a Saturday to come out to my office and hang out with y'all and invite Nicky on to share about this workshop. If you see the caption, you already know, it's about those who are in a funk, right? And I have to tell you that the coolest thing happened. I've talked about it before. If you've heard it before, just follow me for a minute because it's worth mentioning again. How cool God is that when I first started down this journey, I did not want to do business coaching. I wanted to do more life stuff, right? I created a course that was called, I thought it was Get Out of the Funk. It was Get Out of the Pit. I called it the pit. Nikki calls it the funk. If you've been there, you know there's all kinds of names for it, but it sucks. And it's when it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to do anything. There was a time that I was struggling to brush my teeth and shower. When it gets that bad, some medication or a doctor visit is definitely recommended. I'm going to tell you now, I'm not a licensed counselor or doctor. Nikki is not either, but both of us have been through this process and actually lived it. And so here's how this went. I was going to create a course and teach people how to get out of the pit. And I was so excited about it. And then something happened to knock me back on my butt again. And I found myself in that same place again. This was 2019. Some of you guys know what happened, but it was in that when I recognized, okay, God, I know you're calling me to do this, but I'm clearly not in a place where I can help people get out of the pit when I'm currently in the pit again. And I realized that it was imposter syndrome that had me wanting to focus only on helping people through their anxiety and mental health stuff versus the business side of it, because I was worried about what my peers would think of me if I was to kind of do things differently than what most do in the direct sales space. And so from that moment on, I focused a lot on business coaching. And today, the cool thing is, the coaching clients I work with, they're not all struggling with their mental health, but there's a good bit of us that are, and life and business definitely goes together. I scrapped that course and knew that it wasn't for me in the season to do. And then here came Nikki, who signed up for a free coaching call, and we talked. She didn't even know why she wanted to talk to me, but she knew she needed to do something. She hired me. I started working with her. She didn't even have a business at the time. She just knew that she needed to be doing something, and I helped her through that. And as she went through this, one day she said to me, I think I want to help people get out of the funk. And she was telling me about this course that she wanted to write and share with people and help people get through that. And it was a full circle moment. Have you ever had one of those full circle moments where you can see where that thing that you surrendered and said, okay, God, if this isn't for me in this season, it's okay. I'm going to trust you. And then here I am now sharing Nikki with you, who has a course that is very, very similar to what I had planned in the first place. So I'm so excited. Like she didn't even know. I never told a single person except for my VA about the course that I wrote about getting out of the pit. So for her to do that, like it's just a God moment. And it's so cool how God works. And without further ado, I'm going to bring Nikki on. If you're here with me, definitely say hi. Tell me where you're watching from because here in the great state of Kentucky, it was freezing last night. And today I have a window open because I left my heat on and it got really hot in here because I left it on like full blast, like really, really warm. So now I have the window open and it seems like a really beautiful day out. So tell me where you are watching from and tell me if you know Nikki already. And if you have been in a funk or if you are currently in a funk. That was a lot for you to comment, but I'm just putting it all out there now. Okay. So without further ado, here comes Nikki.
Hi, Melissa.
Yay. Okay, that was a long introduction, but I couldn't help it. I had to set the story.
That's okay, because when I was hearing it again, I got tears in my eyes just thinking about, I for the longest time I felt like God had just said, "Oh, I'm done. She's done. She doesn't want to feel me anymore. Or she doesn't want to have any what do they call it clues, where you search out for God." But after going through that experience with you, I was like, "Oh my God, he does care about me. He knows that I still want to do things for him and to help other people." So every time I hear that, I always get a little teary eyed about it. So,
It's so cool.
yeah,
So
it is.
I know that we don't have a whole lot of time because you have a meet and greet for someone,
Yeah.
I'm assuming for your podcast. So
Yeah.
your brand is Motherhood Unfiltered is going to
Hmm.
be okay.
Yeah.
And that it's going to be okay is definitely kind of what this workshop is going to be about. This is your
Yeah.
passion, you understand it very well, and
Hmm.
you're going to be hosting a free workshop. And we
I
all know,
know.
right? Like, let's be real, a free workshop, you get a lot of good information. It is a
Yep.
baby step towards getting you where you need to go. But then
Right.
again, like at the end of it, you will share with them how you can work with them and
Yeah.
how you can continue that partnership to help them get out of the funk. Um, I always think that, okay, I'm going into coaching mode already. Dang it. I'm going to let you talk. But I always think it's interesting because some people, we have a masterclass in the Success Lounge about workshops
Hmm.
next week. But so many times we, I know when I first did the first Unstuck to Unstoppable workshop, like I was like, are people going to be mad because I'm selling towards the end of it? Um, but no,
No.
because those like they're getting a breakthrough
Hmm.
without paying, but being able, like, we're taking our customers, our clients on a journey. And
Hmm.
so one baby step at a time. Some people
Yeah.
have went through the workshops I've done 5 or 6 times before they
Yeah.
actually like, okay, I'm ready. Like, take my money. I need you. And that's okay. But the free
Yeah.
workshops is for the people who's like, who the heck is Nikki? It's for the people who like you're gonna be giving them some quick wins. You're gonna
Right.
be I feel
And
like
these
you
things
had
I've
said,
actually done,
yeah, yeah, because
you
you've been
know?
there.
Yeah. I
So
I
go there.
just when I was working through all my the things that had happened in 2020, going through my depression and having a falling out with a very special family member, I'm the type of person that wants to just drop everything and fix it. We've got to fix it right now. But what do you do when the other party has nothing to do with you? They refuse to speak to you. And I went several months like, how do I even do this? I was so sad and crying. And then that's when I had reached out. And I had already went through one of your workshops 3 different times. And then I went through the Girl Boss boot camp one, I think once. And so I was, my husband said, you have got to do something. You can't continue to live like this. And I
Okay,
knew I
for
couldn't.
everyone, because some people be like, yeah, but where she was isn't where I'm at. Everyone thinks their situation's so much worse when
Yeah,
you're in it. That's a lie from the enemy.
yeah,
Every situation is different. Whether it is worse or not. There is no
right.
marathon or contest on who is in the worst funk. Okay. You're in a
No,
funk,
no.
you're in a funk. But for those who think you can't help me, share a little bit about where you actually were, like kind of at the worst of it.
Well, at the worst of it, I work from home. And so I have my office upstairs in one of the spare bedrooms. I would get up, like I had to be at work at 7:30. I would get up at 7:29, crawl up the stairs basically, and I would work all day. I would work overtime because I didn't want to go downstairs and deal with anything that had to do with my family or my house. And I would finally go downstairs and I would get on the couch and I would stay there until bedtime, and then I would get up and go to bed. So anything in that schedule that I had, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing dinners. I wasn't doing laundry. I wasn't bathing. I wasn't brushing my teeth. I wasn't putting on deodorant. I was wearing my outfits 2, 3 days in a row. And I gained weight. I developed a horrible skin condition. And I was crying all the time, and I was playing a game on my phone as much as I could. I was binging on TV. So all of these things are things that was distracting me from taking care of the important things in my life. My family, my home, my pets, all of those things. And I was doing it at first. It was intentional because I didn't want to deal with the sadness of having that conflict in my family. And so, my husband, I didn't even want to celebrate the holidays. I didn't go to family on Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I didn't do anything on Christmas. And my husband said, you've got to do something. I feel like I'm losing you. And then you had a live, or it was either a live or something, and you said, don't forget, I have this link that you can click on to do a free 15-minute call. And I was like, something in my head says, just schedule it. So I went on and I looked at the schedule that she had. I was like, oh, I could do this at lunch on this one day. So I did. And you were like, well, how can I help you? I was like, I don't know. I don't know how you can help me. I know I just need to do something different. And then I just started telling you like all the things that had been going on.
That's so like when we're in that place, which I
Who
don't
wants to
think.
admit to any of that? It's so
Well, and
embarrassing.
also when we're in that space, like we don't know what we need.
Yeah.
But I also want to give you credit. I think you're giving me too much credit because I feel like you were working your way out of the funk before you ever like
Well,
reached
if
out
I
to me.
was, I still
I
had a
don't feel
long
like
way to go.
I don't feel like I helped you get out of the funk.
Well, first thing I started to do was take showers. So I did one thing, and that's what it is doing the one thing. I already knew what the problem was. And the problem was I had this falling out with a family member. I couldn't do anything about it. So my thought was, well, okay, I can't deal with that big thing that's caused all this. So what else can I work on? Well, I have a whole list of stuff that I had just either ignored or hadn't paid attention to. So the first walk was, personal care. And so I called my doctor, told him, what had been going on, that I had been so depressed. So he, made some adjustments in the medication that I already had been taking, and added um, some anxiety meds. And so then once I started changing my clothes daily and showering, that right there was a big boost, in my confidence. And then I had to deal with my skin condition. So I had to go to the dermatologist for that. And it it was just one little thing at a time. So then the next thing I needed to do was I had to take care of my house because I had neglected it for so long that um it was a mess. It was a mess. So I started I thought, well, I want to declutter. So I picked the room in the house that caused me the worst grief, and that was my kitchen. And I the thought of decluttering the whole room at once was so overwhelming. So I just did it one cabinet at a time. And I had a box for throwaway, I had a box for donations, and I slowly got it, under control. And this all took place in a matter of months. It didn't happen like one day I woke up and I was, yippee, we're going to do this, because I was still slipping back into that old pattern that I had gotten into. So I would have a couple of days where I was taking on all the bad and the sadness again, you know. But as you keep doing that, you start getting stronger and you start having those moments less, being intentional. And when you do have a bad day, it's not a day that puts you down for 3 or 4 days. It
or a
may
month
now when I
or
have a
3 months.
bad moment, it's just maybe an hour or two. And then I'll go to a quiet place in the house, and it only takes me 15-20 minutes to just let everything go through and melt out of my body and just breathe it out, and then I can get up and start again. In the beginning it wasn't like that. And the one thing I learned was that it's not going to be a magic pill or a magic magician that can come and change this. You have to do the work, you know. And the best thing about going through that journey was that I had a support group, and when I was having a bad day, I could say, hey, ladies, I'm having a bad day. And, in whatever group I was in, and they would be like, well, hang in there, we're here for you. We'll pray for you, whatever it is that I needed. And, so I know I'm not the only woman out there. And I know I'm not the only mom out there or the only wife out there. So that's why I wanted to do my workshop. And I have all my steps that I did that helped me get through it. And
So, how many days is this workshop?
so the workshop is 4 days. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I've got an hour schedule, but it's not even going to be an hour. But I wanted to put some extra time unless there were questions.
Mhm.
And because I know the first time I went through the workshop, we had a lot of questions, like really not understanding this whole new concept of, doing this things differently and thinking differently, because it is a mind change. And it's something that you just have to keep working at.
Mhm.
And so that's why I want to make sure that we have enough time to do that if we have questions or whatever. So
Can you tell people, like, do you kind of have an idea? I feel like you do. I know you do because we've talked about it through our coaching calls.
yeah.
Like day one, what are you talking about? Day two, what are you talking about?
Well, day one, we'll talk about what is the thing? What is that thing that's holding you back? Because you may think, I thought it was this falling out that I had with my son, which is that what triggered everything. But as you go along and you're journaling and praying and talking things out with whoever it is that you talk to, it goes all the way back to things that had happened when I was a kid, you know, things that had happened, to me from other, family members. And then, things that had happened to me when I had gotten married the first time. And so it was all of those things that I had put on the back burner because me being the era that I grew up from and being an introvert, you didn't talk about those things to anybody. You didn't tell anybody that so and so had done something to you. And so I had never really acknowledged those bad things that had happened to me. It took me a long time to realize that it wasn't my fault. I was just a little kid. I never asked for any of that stuff to happen. Um, and the other thing is, going through those steps, and that first day is like a heavy day, it seems like to me. But, we'll do a brain dump. And then, what is the first thing that you can do to, make your life better? Because you need some quick wins, and then you need some long term goals that you can work toward. And then that would be day two, is splitting those 2 days up. And then day three is just setting a plan in motion. What kind of plan can we work on that will help you, and just talking that out with each other, because what I thought was a good plan for me, I had to tweak it and change it, because what I thought was important really wasn't important, but something else may come up in the journey that, makes you realize that it's more important. So
Hmm.
that's and then on the fourth day is just, going over things that we may need to go over again. But usually the fourth day is, I kind of think about continuing the journey. You know, what happens when, I always think of it as backsliding. It's not really backsliding, but if you have a bad day, what do you do? Because
Setback.
you have to, yeah, the setbacks. So you have to know the tools, and you have to know how to use them, so that when you do have a bad day, you can think, now, what was it we talked about in that workshop? And you go back to your notes. Oh, yeah. She said, go to a quiet space, get my journal book out and write down how I'm feeling. I mean, those things to me are so elementary, but they are like mind blowing once you do them.
Yeah. I
So
also
that's
think
how,
like the guardrails. I talk about the guardrails. I think you
yeah,
might call it something different, but it's the guardrails so that when you do have a setback, you recognize like the red
yeah,
flags or the things like, oh, I'm doing it again. Whether you're
yeah.
yelling and screaming at your kids all the time or always fighting with your husband
Mhm.
or your
Yeah.
house is super cluttered again because you are numbing out by shopping like crazy. There's
Right?
so many different things um,
But
that
the
you can
important thing to
set as those
figure
red
out is
flags.
that at first you don't realize the triggers.
Yeah.
And you're like, now what happened? I was doing so good.
And
And
you don't recognize the escape, the avoidance, or
yeah.
whatever it is. Not everyone, I guess not
Mhm.
everyone goes into avoidance, but I know a lot of us do. I do. And
Yeah.
things that I had no idea that me scrolling late at night was avoidance. I
Yeah.
had no
Yeah.
idea shopping
Mhm.
was avoidance. I had no
Mhm.
idea working was was
Oh
avoidance.
my God.
Binge watching Netflix,
I
avoidance.
did all those things. Working was my number one thing, because it was a good thing, because I was making extra money for my family. But
Hmm.
there was times I didn't have to do it, and I did it anyway,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to face the loud music that was downstairs in my house.
Yeah.
you know.
So, do you think that in this workshop, because what if someone still would say, like, am I in a funk? Like, I don't know that I'm in a funk. Like, how would you explain to someone or help them kind of figure out the criteria to be like, are
Well,
you in a
to me, if you're asking the question, most likely you are. You may not be in a full blown, depressive state, but anytime I have doubt with anything, more than likely, I am in that. The answer is yes, I am sad, or I am depressed. Um, because you should know if you're not in a funk, because you're happy, you're calm, you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing.
You're
And
loving
if
life.
you're loving life, yeah, and you're having great days. And if you're like, I don't know if I'm in a funk, and you don't know that off the top of your head, you've been avoiding something that has been staring you right in the eyes, and you refuse to look at it. You're looking over the head. When you're up on stage and you'll look out at the audience. They tell you to look straight over everybody's head because if you look at the people, you're going to get scared and nervous and freak out. And so, yeah, that's my answer to that, because you're avoiding the thing that's staring right in front of you that you need to be taking care of.
Ooh, that
So,
is so good. I know that you have to go so you can get on your next call, but thank you
yeah.
so much for stopping in
Thank you,
here. Send me the
Melissa.
link to sign for people to sign up. And I'm telling you guys, like, this is game changing.
Yeah.
And there is no shame in being in a funk. I want
No,
to
it happens to everybody.
some of the things that caused me like moving can cause a funk.
Oh my
You
God,
know,
yes.
moving is up there with as much stress as death and divorce. The
Yeah.
pandemic in of itself, every single person has a
Yes.
legit reason for being in a funk.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I completely agree with you. Financial situations, especially involving, partners, is stressful. Um, I mean, and people handle their stress and their sadness differently.
yeah,
You may not call it a funk, but that's what I call it because, I was raised in the 80s and that's just what I gravitate to because it was some funkiness going on when I wasn't taking care of myself.
yeah,
So I highly urge anyone. And like I said, if you're doubting yourself, well, how do I know if I'm in a funk? Then yeah, you need to get the link and sign up. It's free and you don't have to be on live. I would like for you to be on live, but if you watch the replays, because they'll be posted in the group um, Facebook page that I have set up, you can still submit the work that we're doing and comment and everything. And because I mean, it's not going to hurt anybody to have a little bit of knowledge, especially if it's not for you, you can help somebody else. And that's what we need to be doing is helping each other. So,
absolutely. All right.
yeah,
Thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you hop off. I'm going to keep talking.
of
But you can
course.
go get your other call.
Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate
All
it.
righty. Bye, girl.
Bye.
Okay, so here's what I want you to know. Whether you're in a funk or you're not in a funk, or you don't think you're in a funk, sign up and check it out because the truth is, if you're not in a funk now, more than likely you'll eventually be in a funk, and it'll be good to have this information. And also share the link and tell your friends about it. I'm going to have a graphic inside the Real Talk Tribe community for her with a link so you can just, save, screenshot, whatever, and copy the link and share it with your friends and family. It starts Monday. You have nothing to lose and so much to gain, whether you just do the free thing and that's it, or if you decide yes, you need this and you need Nikki to coach you specifically on getting out of the funk. um, Highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'm telling you, game changing. With, oh gosh, hold that thought. Oh my gosh, Wendy says the wind chill temp was -16 this morning. That's crazy. The stigma of trauma needs to be changed. Absolutely. And I love that you are a game changing woman as well, Wendy. So, again, super excited for this workshop. It's not going to be taking place inside the Real Talk Tribe community, it's in her own area. But I just had to get behind this and help get the word out because she's still in the process of building her audience. And I know that there are so many of you in here. um, or that follow me that are struggling with your mental health, or um, just being in a funk, being in the pit. It doesn't have to look like crying all day long. I remember the first time my mom asked me, like, "Are you okay? Are you depressed?" I was like, no. It's not like I'm sitting in the corner crying all day. No, I was reading books all day long and letting my kids do whatever they wanted because I couldn't even cope with life. Yeah, that's a funk, right? Sometimes medication will be necessary. Sometimes medication won't be necessary. Maybe sometimes it's just taking the medication that you're supposed to be taking, or again, the showering. And one of the things I love that she mentioned the showering, because when I am having like that super hard day, because some days that it still happens for me too, um, showering pretty much completely exhausts me. Like I am so tired. Like showering took all the energy that I had. Like, and so if that resonates with you, again, you need to do this challenge. There is hope. I want you to know that there is hope. You don't have to continue living like this. I know that I'm passionate about breaking the stigmas around mental health and anxiety and depression and all of that. So I know a lot of you that follow me, like you're in this, like you get that because you're living it. And that's why you follow me, because I talk about those things. So again, I'll share the link. I just want you to know, like, this is an amazing workshop. It's completely free, and I know you will not regret it. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.